Direct from Liverpool, the home of the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest, this is Pete from University. Let's meet the other Blanca in this year's Eurovision Song Contest. We're off to Spain. Yes, I am wearing the same shirt as yesterday's Portuguese review for anyone who was asking or wondering, but when you've had a weekend full of kids, you stop caring about these things. And Febreze and aftershave will get you through a lot of things. So with that poor mental image in mind, let's talk about Spain. Now, Spain obviously did really well last year with Chanel and Slow Mo coming in third place after winning the Benidorm Fest and winning the first ever Benidorm Fest. And this is Spain's real attempt to try and take Eurovision a bit more seriously. So this year was the second running of the Benidorm Fest, and the winner was Blanca with Eaea, which I do hope I pronounced it right because I did German and French GCSE, not Spanish. Not that you would know if you heard my German or French. Spain haven't won the contest since 1969, and as I say, last year was their best result for a very, very long time. But Spain have produced some absolute classic songs. La Fiesta Terminó by Paloma San Basilio in 85, Nacida para Amar by Nina in 1989, Eres Tú by Mercedes in 1973, and of course their two winners, and Vuelvo Conmigo from 1995 by Annabel Conda. So they do have a pedigree when they want to of being able to produce very good songs, and they produced a very good song last year. As I say, this year's singer is called Blanca. She's the second Blanca in the contest, although she's spelled with a C rather than a K, but with the other Blanca coming from Poland. Spain will be in the Big Five and will start in the final, so there'll be no semi-final for them. So let's hear the song. I'm going to listen to their national final performance. I have heard it before, but we're going to listen to it again, and I'm going to make some notes, and then we'll talk all about the song. As always, you won't see me react to the song. 1, copyright, and number 2, my reactions are really boring. So here we go. This is the Spanish entry, Blanca with Eaea. Wow, you go on a journey with that one, don't you? Wow, what to say? I've written quite a bit. I've filled my half sheet with notes. I try and show you always something that I've written on my notes in my childish felt tip pen, and there's not much I can show. I think the one thing that struck me is this 1983. There's been a lot of comparisons to that song, and we'll come back to that. I think what's happened is that Spain in 1983 sent a very traditional sort of Spanish sounding song and didn't do very well. And this year, Spain have sent a very traditional Spanish sounding song. Wikipedia informs me that this style of music is called New Flamenco, which is where the flamenco music from the 1960s and 70s was sort of modernized. And you can tell in the instrumentation that that's what's gone on. There's no traditional instruments in the track at all. It's all electronic, and it's apart from drums. But all the are all electronically done. So there's no sort of there's no flamenco guitar, for example. Not that I could hear anyway. There's nothing. So you can make that comparison to 1983, but I don't think you're onto a winner with it. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. My first thoughts were how great the camera work is on the song. And I know it's a song contest, but obviously there's an element of presentation here. And if you're telling me that Chanel didn't do very well last year because she showed a lot of her bum, and you think that didn't impact on the result, then I'd call you a liar. So camera work does matter. And I love how it fades in into a sort of silhouette of her singing, and it sort of fades into focus. I think, and I love how it's shot, that sort of tunnel with sort of the red string curtains, a bit like what your mum has in your back door, and the arms coming out. I think what would have been nicer is if they could have found a way of having the arms coming out without seeing the bodies behind the curtain. I think that would have made it look a bit maybe spookier, but I'm not a choreographer. I don't know anything about these things. In terms of the song itself, it's obviously a very challenging one to her voice, and she tackles it amazingly well, and it's a real there's a real range across the voice, and obviously there's a lot of unusual phonations, shall we say, that you have to do for this style of singing, and she handles it absolutely wonderfully. And that big note at the end that she holds for a very long time, again, she's quite clearly an excellent singer. Her vocal is absolutely wonderful. The backing singers, it's quite clear that they're lip syncing. Whether they're going to lip sync on the night or not, I hope they don't, because I think that would add to the atmosphere of people actually giving it their all and really singing. And I don't really agree with the new rule that's come in about backing vocals being on the track. And I think this is an example of a song that would benefit from the backing singers actually doing it live and really going for it. The choreography is not that taxing that they can't sing and dance at the same time. Um, it's an unusual. It's not an unusual song. That's the wrong one. It's not a mainstream Eurovision song. It's a, like I say, it's this new flamenco sound, which I'm going to blame Wikipedia for if I've got that wrong. Um, so how will it do? Well, looking at comments on Wikipedia have ranged from "This is excellent. This is the most amazing song ever written," all the way down to "This is just a woman shrieking for 3 minutes." And I think that's really unfair and a bit disrespectful, in fact, to say that. I don't think it's 3 minutes of a woman shrieking. It's 3 minutes of a incredibly good technical vocal performance. Technical vocal performance. I know nothing. I'm not a vocal coach. I know nothing about music. I've got a grade 1 theory certificate and a GCSE in music, and I play a bit of bass very badly. So, when I say technically strong singer, I have no idea what I mean. The point is that I think what she did sounded very good. So yeah, and the song, I say, there's no sort of, apart from drums, there are no instruments in the song. It's all electronic, and I think that's a really interesting way to approach a sort of a song like this. It's full on, and I've used this phrase throughout the contest, the idea of being punched in the face. I always say the Finnish song is like being relentlessly beaten and things. This is more like you're just going on a very it's like a choppy journey. It's like a ferry for 3 minutes. You're just in stormy seas for 3 minutes, I think, and it's all very exciting and stuff. We compared. Well, we looked at Portugal yesterday, and they've obviously gone for a sort of non-mainstream song as well, and they've gone with something that's more in keeping with the Portuguese tradition. And I'm not going to make a direct comparison between Spain and Portugal because their musical histories are different. But what I am saying is that these are two songs that are not mainstream. They're not dance tracks. They're not rock bands. They're not Yas Queen girly sleigh bops or whatever people say these days. They're very different styles of song from the other 35 songs that have been entered in the contest. So you can compare them that way. So you can't compare them and say they are the same genre. They definitely are not. And I don't want to cause any offense. So I'm very clear to say that they are not the same genre, but they are both similar in that they are not mainstream songs, but they are both traditionally very different. But Portugal is a fun one to watch. You enjoy watching it. You're taken on this enjoyable journey by Mimicat and sort of and her sort of love story. In this, you feel a bit. I feel a bit tired after about 2.5 minutes, and that's the other thing, is it's very emotionally driven, and I believe the song is a chant to her nan or her grandmother. I beg your pardon. And in Britain, whenever we do things for our grandmothers on music competitions, it's usually X Factor contestants trying to get through to the next round because they've got a dead gran. And that clearly isn't the case here. This is a well-written, well-constructed, and well-performed piece of work. It's just a very serious piece of work compared to Portugal. So to summarize what I'm trying to say there, I'm not saying that Portugal and Spain are the same. They definitely are not. I'm saying that they both are not mainstream songs compared to the other 35 songs in the contest. They're just very different. I've tied myself up in knots there. I'll just turn the comments off. It's fine. No one will get me. The point I'm making is that Portugal's song is very fun and very exciting, and this is not a fun song. It's a very serious song, and you go on a very long journey with it. I think one of the difficulties with it is where does it go? It just sort of ends. It just sort of keeps going and going in the same way until she does that very big note at the end, and then a few seconds later, it's all over. That's not to say it's a boring song. I'm just sort of saying, can it hold my attention for the full 3 minutes? And that's my slight concern about it as a song. How will it do? I think the juries will like it. I think the juries will, if the juries are still grading technical ability of the singers, what do I know? I think this will score very highly. Phone voters, It depends. Again, the fact that it's not a mainstream song, the fact that it's a more traditional or more Spanish or new flamenco or whatever style of song means that actually people may remember it more, and things. And hopefully they won't remember it as just screaming and shrieking, as I've seen on Twitter. They will remember it as a well performed piece of work. So phone voters may pick up the phone for it. It could go. I'm afraid it could go one of two ways. It could do really well and continue the trend that Spain set for themselves last year, or it could be a bit sort of 1983-ish. Let's go back to that comparison with 1983 and how they came last with a very sort of similar type of song, albeit not quite. Eurovision was a very different beast back then, and the juries, I think, in the 70s and 80s struggled with traditional music from various countries. Turkey never did very well, even though they sent songs that were strong in their sort of musical vein. Morocco, the one time that they came and brought an amazing song, but it wasn't mainstream European music, so it didn't do very well. Cyprus, similarly, Greece, again, didn't do that well. And Portugal struggled throughout as well. And I think that's more to do with how the juries favoured mainstream pop music compared to the more traditional, or I use traditional, I'm probably using the wrong word, or songs that were representative of their own country. And I think we've moved on from that, and I think we're a bit more sophisticated, and I think people will vote for it. How much they will vote for it, I don't know. Let's ask the main question. There's two Blancas in this year's contest, Blanca from Poland with a K and Blanca from Spain with a C. Which one is going to do better? Well, Blanca from Spain is already in the final, so she's done better in that way. But it's clear that comparing the two songs, Blanca from Spain is a much better song than Blanca from Poland. And that's that one answered. So to summarise, I think this is a really strong, well-performed song that's not part of the mainstream setup of the other 36, 35 songs that are taking part in the contest. So it will stand out. It will definitely stand out. It just depends whether it will stand out for the right reasons or not. I like it, but I like it because it's a technically very good song rather than something I would listen to in my car on a summer's day. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, share, comment before I turn the comments off, and subscribe to Euroversity. We're going to stop doing reviews fairly soon. I wasn't going to do all 37 of them, but we are going to do some more exciting things looking behind the contest fairly soon. So I hope you all stick around for that. But until then, direct from Liverpool, the home of the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest, this is Pete from Euroversity saying I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.